I looked down at my worn fire department jacket, the one I'd worn to 100 calls over 30 years, and then back up at her perfectly made-up face. "Ma'am," I said quietly, "I'll leave, but I'm taking a few things with me." Her eyes narrowed in confusion, but she waved me off like I was a servant she'd just dismissed. She had no idea what was about to happen. Before I tell you how I dismantled the most expensive baby shower in our town's history, let me know where you're watching from in the comments, and if you've ever been underestimated because of how you looked. My name is Robert Morrison, though everyone calls me Bob. I'm 63 years old, and I spent 32 years running into burning buildings while everyone else ran out. I retired 5 years ago as a battalion chief, but that's not the part of my life that matters for this story. What matters is my daughter, Sarah. She's 34, brilliant, kind, and 7 months pregnant with my first grandchild. And what matters even more is that for the past year, I've watched her slowly dim her light to make her husband's family comfortable. Sarah married Derek Chen 2 years ago. Derek's a corporate lawyer, makes good money, drives a Tesla, wears suits that cost more than my first car. He's not a bad guy. Not really. A little soft, a little too eager to please his mother, but he loves Sarah. The trouble started 3 months earlier, when Patricia Chen, Derek's mother, took over planning Sarah's baby shower. Patricia is one of those women who measures her worth in designer labels and social media likes. She lives in a gated community, belongs to the country club, and has never worked a day in her life, thanks to her late husband's real estate fortune. From the moment Derek brought Sarah home, Patricia made it clear that my daughter, a social worker who drives a 10-year-old Honda, wasn't quite what she had in mind for her precious son. But Patricia is smart. She never says anything directly cruel. It's always wrapped in concern. "Oh, honey, you're still driving that old car? Aren't you worried about safety?" Or, "Sarah, dear, maybe you should let me take you shopping. We can't have you wearing those simple clothes to the club." Sarah would smile and deflect, but I saw how each comment landed, how she started second-guessing herself. When Sarah got pregnant, Patricia went into overdrive. She insisted on planning the baby shower, said it was a grandmother's right. Sarah, exhausted from morning sickness and not wanting to fight, agreed. I should have seen the warning signs then. Patricia decided to hold the shower at the Veterans Hall downtown. When Sarah told me, I was surprised. The hall is nice enough, but it's not the kind of upscale venue Patricia usually preferred. Sarah explained that Patricia wanted it there because it was charming and had character. I didn't think much of it at the time. The Veterans Hall has been a fixture in our community for 40 years. I've been a member since I retired. Attend the monthly meetings. Help organize events. It's a good place, full of good people. What I didn't know until later was that Patricia had chosen the location specifically because she'd heard I spent time there. She thought it was a working-class dive, and she wanted to make a point about how her son had married beneath him. She planned to transform it with expensive decorations, make it clear that Chen money could elevate even the most humble spaces. The irony, as you'll see, was about to become delicious. The Saturday of the shower, I arrived early. I'd offered to help set up, the way I always do for events at the hall. I was wearing my old fire department jacket over a clean flannel shirt and jeans. It was April, still cool in the mornings, and that jacket has been like a second skin for decades. I've never been one for fancy clothes. After years in uniform or turnout gear, I'm most comfortable in simple, practical clothing. I walked into the hall to find it transformed. Patricia had hired one of those expensive event companies from the city. There were white and gold balloons everywhere, tables draped in silk, floral arrangements that probably cost more than I spend on groceries in a month. A catering company was setting up a buffet that looked like something from a magazine. At the far end, someone was assembling a dessert table with a 4-tier cake decorated to look like a stack of baby blocks. Sarah was standing near the gift table, looking uncomfortable in a designer maternity dress I knew Patricia had bought her. When she saw me, her face lit up with genuine relief. "Dad, you're here early." I gave her a hug, careful of her belly. "Thought I'd see if you needed help with anything." Before she could answer, Patricia's voice cut across the room like a cold wind. Robert. Not Bob. Never Bob. Always Robert. Pronounced with just a hint of distaste. What are you doing here? The shower doesn't start for another 2 hours. I turned to see her marching toward me in heels that clicked sharply on the hardwood floor. She was wearing a cream-colored designer suit and enough jewelry to fund a small country. Her eyes swept over my jacket and jeans with barely concealed disdain. I came to help set up, I said evenly. I always help with events here. Her laugh was light but cruel. Oh, that's sweet. But we have professionals handling everything. We wouldn't want you to strain yourself. The implication was clear. I was too old, too working class, too beneath the standards she'd set for this event. Sarah stepped forward. Mom, Patricia. Dad's great at organizing. He could. Sarah, darling. Patricia interrupted, her voice syrupy. Why don't you go rest? You look tired. Robert and I can chat. It wasn't a suggestion. Sarah looked at me, conflicted, but I nodded. She was 7 months pregnant and exhausted from Patricia's constant demands. She didn't need the stress. She squeezed my hand and walked toward the lounge area. Patricia waited until Sarah was out of earshot, then turned to me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Robert, I want to be direct with you. This is a very important event. I've invited people from the club, Derek's colleagues, some very influential families. The image needs to be perfect. I understand, I said, not understanding at all where this was going. That jacket, she continued, gesturing at my fire department coat like it was roadkill. And those jeans. They're not appropriate. This isn't a barbecue or she waved her hand vaguely. Whatever you people do at these halls, this is a sophisticated affair. You people. The words hung in the air between us. I felt my jaw tighten, but I kept my voice calm. 30 years of staying cool under pressure had taught me that. Ma'am, these are clean clothes. I was planning to help set up, then go home and change before the guests arrive. Change into what? She asked, her eyebrows raised. Do you even own a proper suit? I did, actually. A nice one I'd bought for Sarah's wedding, but I didn't feel the need to justify myself to this woman. I'll look presentable, I said. She studied me for a long moment, then sighed dramatically. You know what, Robert? I think it might be best if you didn't attend at all. The room seemed to stop. Even the event staff paused in their work. Excuse me? I said quietly. It's just that, well, you don't really fit with the other guests. And Sarah will be so busy with everyone, she won't even notice if you're not there. We'll take plenty of pictures for you. Somewhere behind me, I heard one of the caterers gasp softly. You're uninviting me, I said, to my own daughter's baby shower. I'm being practical, Patricia said, her voice taking on a harder edge. Derek's boss will be here, senior partners from his firm. These are important connections. I've worked very hard to position Derek for partner, and this event is part of that strategy. Having you here, dressed like that, acting like you own the place. Acting like I own the place, I repeated slowly. Yes, she said impatiently. Look, I'm sure in your world, this hall is fine, but my world, Derek's world, Sarah's new world, it's different. Higher standards. And quite frankly, Robert, you're an embarrassment. The word landed like a punch. I'd been called a lot of things in my life. Brave, reckless, stubborn, but never an embarrassment. I glanced around the hall. I saw the faces of the catering staff, some of whom I recognized from other events. I saw the event coordinator, a young woman who looked horrified. I saw Tom Rodriguez, the hall manager and fellow retired firefighter, standing in the doorway of his office with his mouth open. And then I saw Derek walking in through the main entrance, checking his phone, oblivious. Patricia saw him too. Derek, darling, come here for a moment. Derek walked over, smiling. Hey, Bob. Didn't expect to see you here so early. He went to shake my hand. Patricia put a hand on her son's arm. Derek, I was just explaining to Robert that perhaps it would be best if he sat this event out. You understand? With all your colleagues coming, Derek's smile faltered. He looked between his mother and me, confusion crossing his face. What? Why would Dad Bob not come? It's Sarah's baby shower. It's complicated, honey, Patricia said in that same syrupy voice. Robert and I were just discussing how he might be more comfortable sitting this one out. Right, Robert? Every eye in the room was on me. This was the moment. I could swallow my pride, leave quietly, spare Sarah the drama. That's what the old me might have done, the me who always put everyone else first. But I'd spent 30 years teaching young firefighters that you don't back down when something matters. You don't let people push you around. And you sure as hell don't let anyone disrespect you without consequences. I looked Patricia dead in the eye and said, Ma'am, I'll leave. But I'm taking a few things with me. She waved her hand dismissively. Yes, take your jacket and go. I turned to Derek. Son, where's Sarah? In the lounge. Lying down. Mom made her wait. What's going on? Your mother just uninvited me to my daughter's baby shower because I'm an embarrassment, I said clearly, loudly enough that everyone in the hall could hear. Derek's face went white. She what? Patricia's composure cracked slightly. Derek, I didn't say it like that. I merely suggested. You said, I interrupted, my voice still calm but iron hard, that I don't fit with your people, that I'm an embarrassment, that Sarah won't notice if I'm gone. Is that true? Derek asked his mother, his voice rising. I was being practical, Patricia snapped. Look at him, Derek. He shows up in that ridiculous old jacket, like he's going to fight a fire. Your boss, the senior partners, they'll see him and wonder what kind of family you come from. The kind that runs into burning buildings while everyone else runs out, I said quietly. The kind that works hard, saves lives, and doesn't judge people by their bank accounts or their clothes. Patricia rolled her eyes. Oh, please, spare us the working-class hero speech. This is the real world, Robert. Image matters. Connections matter. And you. Mom, Derek said, his voice tight. Stop talking. Excuse me? I said stop. Derek turned to me. Bob, I'm sorry. This is unacceptable. You're not going anywhere. Patricia's face flushed. Derek Chen, I have worked very hard to plan this event. I will not have you undermine me in front of the staff. Then maybe, I said quietly, I should go ahead and take those things I mentioned. Patricia laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. What things? Your precious jacket? Take it and leave. I smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Tom, I called out to the hall manager. Can you come here for a minute? Tom Rodriguez walked over, and I saw the gleam of understanding in his eyes. Tom and I had served together, before we both retired. He knew what was coming. Tom, as president of the Veterans Association Board, I need to inform you that I'm exercising my authority to cancel the private rental agreement for this space, effective immediately. The room went silent. Even the music from the event company's speaker system seemed to fade. Patricia stared at me. What are you talking about? Tom pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, then turned the screen to show Patricia. Mr. Morrison is president of the Veterans Association. The association owns this building. All rental agreements go through the board, and the board president has authority to cancel events with due cause. Due cause? Patricia sputtered. What due cause? Discriminatory behavior toward association members, I said calmly. Creating a hostile environment. Violation of our code of conduct, which requires all renters to treat our facility and our members with respect. Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish. You can't do this. I have a contract, which includes a clause about conduct, Tom said, pulling up the document. Section 12. Paragraph 3. Want me to read it? Derek was staring at me with something between horror and awe. Bob, you own this building? The association owns it, I corrected. I'm just the president. Have been for 3 years. I didn't mention it, because it never seemed important. But yes, Every event here, including this one, has to be approved by me or the board. Patricia had gone from red to pale. This is ridiculous. You can't cancel my event because your feelings were hurt. I'm not canceling it because my feelings were hurt, I said. I'm canceling it because you violated our terms of use. But don't worry. I'm sure you can find another venue. Though at this short notice, it might be expensive. There's no time, Patricia shrieked. Guests arrive in 2 hours. Then, I guess you should have been nicer to the guy who owned the building, I said quietly. Wait, Derek said, holding up his hands. Everyone just wait. Bob, please. I know my mother was out of line, but Sarah planned this. She's been excited about it for weeks. Can we work this out? I looked at him. This soft young man who let his mother say terrible things about his wife's father and didn't speak up until it was too late. Derek, your mother just told me I'm an embarrassment to my daughter. She uninvited me to my own grandchild's baby shower. She said I don't fit in your world. What exactly do you want me to work out? Mom will apologize, Derek said desperately, turning to his mother. Patricia's face was a mask of rage, but I could see her calculating. Fine. Robert, I apologize if my words offended you. If? I repeated. Not, I apologize for calling you an embarrassment. Just if it offended me. Tom coughed to hide a laugh. Patricia's hands clenched into fists. This is extortion. No, I said. This is consequences. Now, I'm going to go check on my daughter. Tom, please inform the event company and caterers that their services will not be needed. I'll make sure they're compensated for their time. You can't do this, Patricia screamed, and this time it was a real scream, high and desperate. Several staff members actually stepped back. Watch me, I said, and started walking toward the lounge. Behind me, I heard chaos erupting. Patricia was shouting at Derek. Derek was trying to calm her down. Tom was making phone calls. The event coordinator was frantically texting someone. I found Sarah lying on a couch in the lounge, her hands on her belly, eyes closed. When I sat down beside her, she opened her eyes. Dad, what's all that yelling? I took her hand. Sweetie, I need to tell you something. I explained everything. Patricia's comments, the uninvitation, my decision to cancel the event. I watched Sarah's face go through a dozen emotions. Shock, hurt, anger, and finally, something that looked like relief. She uninvited you? Sarah said quietly. She did. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. Dad, I'm so sorry. I knew she could be difficult, but I never thought. This isn't your fault, I said firmly. None of this is your fault, but the shower, all those people, Derek's colleagues, don't matter, I finished. Sarah. Honey, I've watched you shrink yourself for the past 2 years, trying to fit into Patricia's world. You're exhausted, stressed, and 7 months pregnant. The last thing you need is a show designed to impress people who judge you for not being rich enough or fancy enough. She started crying then, and I held her while she sobbed out 2 years of accumulated hurt and frustration. She told me how Patricia had criticized everything from her wedding dress to her career choice to her refusal to quit her job, how Derek always took his mother's side to keep the peace, how she felt like she was losing herself trying to be who they wanted her to be. I don't even want this shower, she finally admitted. I wanted something small, with you and Mom and my real friends. But Patricia insisted, and Derek said it would be good for his career, and I was too tired to fight. I kissed the top of her head. Then we're not doing it. But what about Derek? What about him? I asked. Sarah, if Derek loves you, truly loves you, he needs to stand up for you. He needs to put you first. And if he can't do that, if his mother's approval matters more than your happiness, then you need to know that now, before that baby comes. She was quiet for a long moment, her hands on her belly. You really canceled it? I really did. Tom's probably clearing out the vendors right now. A small smile crossed her face. Mom Patricia is going to lose her mind. Already did. It was spectacular. She laughed then. A real laugh. the first I'd heard from her in months. "Dad, what have you done?" "Protected my daughter," I said simply. "Same thing I've done since the day you were born." The door burst open and Derek rushed in, looking panicked. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what Mom said to Bob. I swear I didn't." "Derek," Sarah said, sitting up, her voice stronger than I'd heard in a long time. "Your mother uninvited my father to our baby's shower because she thinks he's an embarrassment." Derek's face crumpled. "I know, and it's terrible. And I told her." "What did you tell her?" Sarah asked. "Before my dad said something? When she was insulting him. What did you say? What did you say? What did you say? What did you say? What did you say?" Derek froze. I didn't know. You were standing right there," I said quietly. I thought she was just being Mom," Derek said weakly. "She's always particular about events." "Particular," Sarah repeated. "Your mother called my father an embarrassment, Derek," to his face, "at an event for our child. And you thought she was being particular." "Sarah, please, the guests are coming." "The shower." "There is no shower," Sarah said firmly. "My dad canceled it." Derek turned to me, anger finally replacing panic. "You had no right." "I had every right," I said, standing up. "This is my building. Patricia violated the terms of use, but more than that, I'm Sarah's father, and I will not stand by while your mother treats her or me like garbage." "She's under a lot of stress," Derek said desperately, "planning this shower, trying to make everything perfect." "For who?" Sarah asked. "Who was this shower for, Derek? Me? Or your mother's friends and your colleagues?" Derek didn't answer, which was answer enough. Sarah stood up, moving slowly because of her belly. She walked over to Derek and looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "I love you, but I can't keep doing this. I can't keep being disrespected by your mother while you make excuses for her. I can't raise our child in a family where my dad, who ran into burning buildings to save lives, is treated like he's not good enough because he doesn't wear designer suits." "Sarah, please, I'm going home," she said, "to my dad's house. You can come if you want, but your mother isn't welcome there. Not until she apologizes, really apologizes. To my dad and to me." "You can't be serious," Derek said. "I've never been more serious in my life." The door burst open again and Patricia stormed in, her face mottled with rage. "This is unacceptable. I have 40 people arriving in 90 minutes and nowhere to put them. Robert, you will reverse this decision immediately, or I'll sue you and this entire building." "Mom, stop," Derek said weakly. "Don't you, Mom, stop me. This vindictive old man is destroying everything I worked for." "Everything you worked for?" Sarah said, her voice dangerously quiet. "This was supposed to be about celebrating your grandchild. But you made it about status and connections and impressing people. You turned what should have been a happy day into a nightmare." "I was trying to help you," Patricia shrieked. "You don't understand how important these things are. Who you know, who you impress. These are the things that matter in life." "More than family?" I asked quietly. Patricia whirled on me. "You think you're so noble with your working-class values and your little fireman's coat. You think you're teaching some lesson here? All you've done is humiliate me and damage Derek's career." "I think I've shown you exactly what happens when you disrespect good people," I said. "I spent 30 years learning that the most important thing in any emergency is knowing who you can trust. Who has your back? Who'll run into danger with you? Your net worth, your clothes, your connections. None of that matters when the world is burning. What matters is character." "Oh, spare me the sermon," Patricia spat. "You know what I find interesting?" I continued, my voice calm but firm. "You wanted to show that your money could elevate even the most humble spaces, but you never bothered to find out who actually owned it. You assumed, because you assume about everything." Patricia's face went even redder. "This building, I continued, was built by veterans who pooled their money and their labor. Men and women who served their country, came home, and wanted a place where they could gather and support each other. Every board here was laid by someone who fought for this nation. Every brick was paid for with honest work. And yes, I'm proud to be president of the organization that maintains it. I walked toward her, and despite her heels, I was taller. She had to look up at me. You called me an embarrassment, I said quietly. But I've saved 12 lives in my career. Pulled 12 human beings out of burning buildings. How many lives have you saved, Patricia? How many people are alive today because of something you did? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. That's not fair. You're right, I said. It's not a fair comparison, because I don't judge you for not being a firefighter. I don't call you an embarrassment because you've never risked your life for a stranger. I respect that we have different roles in life. I just wish you could do the same. For the first time since I'd met her, Patricia Chen was speechless. Now, I said, you have a choice. You can apologize, genuinely apologize to me and to Sarah. You can call your guests and explain that the shower is postponed. You can start treating my daughter and her choices with respect. Or you can leave, and you can miss out on knowing your grandchild. Because I promise you, Patricia, if you think I'll let you treat Sarah and this baby the way you've treated us today, you're mistaken. You can't keep my grandchild from me, she whispered. I won't have to, Sarah said, stepping forward to stand beside me. I will. Derek, I meant what I said. I'm going to my dad's house. You're welcome to come. Your mother isn't. Not until things change. Derek looked between his wife and his mother, trapped. This was his moment, the choice that would define his marriage. Derek, Patricia said, her voice breaking, you can't let them do this to me. I'm your mother. I've given you everything. Derek, Sarah said quietly, I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child. The room was silent, except for the distant sounds of Tom and the vendors clearing out the main hall. Derek's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his face went pale. It's my boss. He's asking about the shower location. Patricia lunged for the phone. Give me that. I'll explain. No, Derek said, and his voice was firmer than I'd ever heard it. He pulled the phone away from his mother's reach. He looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw something break in his eyes. The spell, maybe. The lifetime of conditioning that his mother's approval was the most important thing in the world. No, he repeated. Mom, what you said to Bob was unforgivable. He's Sarah's father. He's going to be our child's grandfather. And you treated him like garbage. I was trying to protect your career, Patricia cried, by humiliating my wife's father? How exactly does that protect anything? Derek's hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. You know what? I'm going to text my boss right now and tell him the truth, that the shower was canceled because my mother created a hostile situation. Derek, no. And then I'm going to follow my wife to her father's house, and I'm going to spend the rest of the day apologizing to her for not standing up to you sooner. He started typing on his phone. Patricia watched in horror. You're choosing them over me? I'm choosing my family, Derek said quietly. Sarah is my family. This baby is my family. Bob is my family. You're my mother, and I love you, but you're not my whole family anymore. And if you can't respect the people I love, then yes, I'm choosing them. He hit send on his phone, then looked at his mother. I love you, Mom, but you need help. This obsession with status and image, it's not healthy. It's not normal, and I can't let it poison my marriage or my child's life. Patricia stood there, trembling, tears running down her face and ruining her expensive makeup. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I just wanted the best for you, she whispered. The best for me is a happy marriage to a woman I love, Derek said. The best for me is a child who grows up knowing both sets of grandparents. Not just the rich ones. The best for me is not being terrified every day that I'll do something to disappoint you. That last part seemed to hit Patricia like a physical blow. She staggered slightly in her heels. I think you should go, Mom, Derek said gently. Call your friends. Explain what happened. Take some time. And when you're ready to really apologize, not just to avoid consequences, but because you understand what you did wrong, we'll talk. Patricia looked at each of us in turn. Derek, Sarah, me. Her face was a mixture of rage, hurt, and something that might have been understanding starting to dawn. Without another word, she turned and walked out, her heels clicking on the floor one last time. We stood in silence for a moment. Then Derek turned to Sarah and me. I'm sorry, he said, and his voice cracked. I'm so sorry. Bob, what she said to you, what I let her say, it was unforgivable. You're one of the best men I know, and I should have defended you immediately. You defended me when it mattered, I said. Just took you a minute to get there. I should have been faster. Son, I've trained hundreds of firefighters. You know what I tell them? It's not about how fast you react. It's about whether you run toward the danger or away from it. You ran toward it. That's what counts. Derek started crying then, and Sarah put her arms around him. I stepped out to give them privacy. In the main hall, Tom and the vendors had finished clearing out. Tom walked over to me with a grin. That was the most entertaining thing I've seen since Jenkins accidentally set off the sprinkler system. It was necessary, I said. Damn right it was. Bob, I've known you 20 years. You're the last guy to abuse your authority. If you pulled rank like that, she must have really earned it. She did. Tom clapped me on the shoulder. So what now? You still want to do something for Sarah? I thought about it. Yeah. Small gathering. Just family and close friends. Nothing fancy. Can we use the hall next weekend? For you? Free of charge. I'll even cook. Tom, you don't have to. Bob, you gave me a job when I was struggling after retirement. You helped my kid get into the fire academy. Let me do this. I shook his hand. Thank you. Over the next week, word spread about what happened. Patricia had apparently called several of her friends in hysterics, and they'd spread the story. But the version I heard from Sarah's friends was different from what I expected. Instead of painting me as the villain, most people seemed to think Patricia had gotten what she deserved. Derek's boss called him personally to apologize for any pressure Derek felt about impressing colleagues. Turned out the boss, a senior partner named Jim, had grown up working class himself and had no patience for that kind of elitism. He told Derek that any firm worth working for would judge him by his legal skills, not his mother-in-law's party planning abilities. Patricia didn't call for 5 days. When she finally did, she asked to meet with me privately. We met at a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory. She looked different, smaller somehow. Without the armor of designer clothes and perfect makeup, she was wearing jeans and a simple sweater. No jewelry except her wedding ring. Thank you for meeting me, she said quietly. I nodded and waited. I've been seeing a therapist, she said. Derek insisted. At first I was furious. But she's helping me understand some things. That's good, I said. After my husband died, Patricia continued, her voice shaking slightly. I felt like I was drowning. He handled everything, the money, the decisions, the social connections. I didn't know who I was without him. So, I became this persona. The wealthy widow, the society matron, the mother who knew best. I thought if I could control everything, make everything perfect, I'd be safe. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. But I wasn't safe. I was lonely and terrified, and pushing away everyone who actually cared about me, including my own son. But I mang mun. Drombang. Drommun. Drombang. Drommun. 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 Why are you telling me this? I asked gently. Because you deserve to understand that what I said to you wasn't really about you. It was about my own fear and insecurity. You're everything I'm not confident, comfortable with yourself, respected for who you are rather than what you own. I was jealous. And I lashed out. Jealous, I repeated, surprised. Sarah talks about you all the time. How brave you are. How you've always supported her. How she wants to raise her child with your values. And I realized Derek never talks about me that way. He's afraid of disappointing me, but he doesn't want to be like me. And that hurt. She took a shaky breath. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Not yet. I know I have a lot of work to do, but I wanted to apologize. Genuinely. For what I said. You're not an embarrassment. You're a hero. And I was cruel and wrong. I sat back in my chair, studying her. This felt real in a way her earlier non-apology hadn't. Thank you, I said. I appreciate you saying that. Can I ask you something? Patricia said. Sir, how do I fix this? With Sarah. With Derek. How do I become someone they want in their life, instead of someone they tolerate? I thought about it for a long moment. Start by showing up as yourself, not as a persona. Sarah doesn't need a society matron grandmother for her baby. She needs someone real. Someone who'll hold the baby when she's exhausted at 3 a.m. Someone who'll listen without judging. Can you be that person? I don't know, Patricia admitted. But I want to try. Then that's a start. We talked for another hour. I learned about her husband, about her own mother who'd been cold and critical, about the pressures she'd felt her whole life to maintain appearances. It didn't excuse what she'd done, but it helped me understand it. When we parted, I told her she was welcome at the small shower we were planning for the following weekend. She cried and thanked me. The actual baby shower was perfect. 30 people in the Veterans Hall, most of them in jeans and comfortable clothes. Tom made his famous brisket. Sarah's friends from the social work office brought games and laughter. My ex-wife, Sarah's mom, flew in from Arizona and spent the day beaming at her pregnant daughter. And Patricia came. She wore jeans and brought a handmade baby blanket she'd apparently spent the week crocheting. She was quiet, almost shy. But when Sarah opened the blanket and saw the careful stitches, she cried and hugged her mother-in-law. Derek pulled me aside at one point. Thank you, he said, for being strong enough to stand up when I was too weak. You found your strength when it mattered, I told him. That's all any of us can do. 3 months later, when my grandson, Robert Derek Chen, was born, I was in the delivery room. So was Patricia, holding Sarah's hand and crying happy tears. She looked at me across the bed and mouthed, "Thank you." I realized then that sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't running into a burning building. Sometimes it's standing your ground and demanding respect, even when it would be easier to walk away. Sometimes it's showing people that their behavior has consequences and that love without respect is meaningless. That day at the Veterans Hall, when I told Patricia I was taking a few things with me, she thought I meant my jacket. She didn't realize I was taking my dignity, my daughter's happiness, and my family's future. And sometimes, those are the most important things worth fighting for. My grandson is 2 now. He calls me Grandpa Bob and Patricia Grammy Pat. Last week at a family dinner, he spilled juice all over Patricia's white pants. Instead of freaking out, she laughed and said, "Good thing I'm learning to care less about clothes and more about moments." Sarah caught my eye across the table and smiled. Derek squeezed his mother's hand. And I thought about how close we'd come to losing all of this to pride and status and fear. All because I refused to let anyone call me an embarrassment in my own building. If you've ever had to stand up for yourself or someone you love, let me know in the comments. And remember, respect isn't about what you wear or how much money you have. It's about how you treat people and whether you have the courage to demand better when you're treated poorly. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to be treated with dignity, every single one of us.